billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of God, the most beneficent and merciful. When you see these words, epidemic, dopamine, addiction, denial, withdrawal, what comes to your mind? Now, many of you might believe that what these words represent has something to do with either alcohol addiction or drug addiction. But what if I told you that what these words have to do with is neither alcohol addiction or drug addiction, but something that many of you have in your pockets or on your tables right now? In fact, some are using it as I speak right now. What these words represent, my dear brothers and sisters, is how as a society, we are getting addicted to social media. Now, the world currently portrays social media as a positive and a harmless product. But as comedian Bill Maher said, the tycoons of social media need to stop pretending that they're just friendly nerd gods building a better place and just admit that they're tobacco farmers in t-shirts, selling an addictive product to children. Because, let's face it, checking your likes is the new smoking. Now, please, brothers and sisters, before I move on, don't confuse what I am talking about with the many great resources we have, such as Khan Academy, Udemy, lynda.org, and many, many more. But we have to acknowledge and accept that these resources are majority overshadowed by the more useless and completely pathetic ones. To give you an example of what I mean, how many of you know complete cringe YouTuber Logan Paul? Raise your hands. So I can see a lot of you know who he is. And for those who don't know, Logan Paul is a YouTuber who uploads content regarding vlogs, diss tracks, rap battles, boxing fights, and many more. He joined YouTube on August 28, 2015. As of early December, he has a whopping 18.6 million subscribers with a bit more than 4.1 billion views. That's a B, brothers and sisters, 9 zeros. Now on the flip side, how many of us know of renowned chemistry professor, PhD from MIT, Tyler Dewitt? Tyler Dewitt is also a YouTuber who joined YouTube on March 22nd, 2007. That's 8 years before Logan Paul. As of early December, he only has 666,000 subscribers with a bit more than 68 million views. Tyler Dewitt, and I say this from personal experience, is an absolutely amazing chemistry professor who is a raw product of hard work and effort. Why is it that everywhere we go on YouTube, whether it be recommended, up next, trending, it's all Logan Paul and the likes of Logan Paul? We never get to see this other side of YouTube, this educational side of YouTube with the likes of Tyler Dewitt. Now, before I begin to dissect this issue, we must acknowledge and understand that this is an extremely complex and severe issue. Social media is an integral part of our society, and due to its daily usage, it would be nearly impossible to eliminate from our lives. To show you what I mean, how many of you knew that 11 people make their first social media accounts every single minute? So as I'm speaking right now, there's 11 people in our world who are creating their first Snapchat accounts, first Instagram accounts, first Twitter accounts, and first Facebook accounts. Did you also know that we check our social media at least 150 times a day and at least once every 15 minutes or less? Did you also know that we use technology and social media for more than 2 hours every single day? And lastly, 3.8 billion people use the internet on a day-to-day basis. Now that we've understood the complexity and severity of this issue, how do we solve it? How do we tackle it? Unfortunately, there is no simple solution, but there still is one. Therefore, we need a multifaceted approach in which there are multiple prongs. In the first prong of this multifaceted approach, it involves none other than our beloved parents. Parents must demonstrate that we can minimize social media and technology by not using it in front of their kids every day. They must also spend quality time with their kids in which there are zero distractions, especially technology. The second thing parents must do is provide the best environment they can for their kids. What this means is that they must help and guide their kids to choose good, right moral friends, and they must provide faith-based schools and community centers in which they could find like-minded friends. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his progeny have repeatedly warned against the ill effects of bad company. Now, one extremely important factor that many parents tend to forget is that you cannot implement these factors, these traits, when your kids are 14, 15, 16 years old, when they're starting to reach adulthood and they believe that, I know what I'm doing, I'm in the driver's seat. You must implement these rules when your kids are 1, 2, 3 years old so that their base and foundation will remain firm and strong. This is an image, it's a bit exaggerated, but it kind of, to some extent, gives an example of how our kids are being raised, with the mother and father completely distracted on their phones and their son dying of boredom in the middle. Now, before I introduce my further points, I would like to introduce the theory of fraud. When someone commits a fraud in an organization, it has 3 elements: rationalization, incentive, and opportunity. The youth abusing social media and technology has all 3 of these elements. Kids rationalize their immoral and abusive use of social media by thinking, my friends do it, or X, Y, and Z does it. Essentially, they're being peer pressured. The incentive comes from the entertaining part of social media and, unfortunately, the inappropriate content as well. Lastly, the opportunity comes from how easy smartphones, laptops, iPads have made it for us to access whatever we want, whenever we want, and however we want with very limited oversight. Now, there is no possible way we could counter these massive external forces without an inner behavioral change. So the question is, what can we do to counter them? The answer to that, my dear brothers and sisters, is love, which is the most potent way to modify human behavior. Therefore, we must instill the love of Prophet Muhammad and his progeny in our youth from a young age. There are many ways we could do this, but the easiest, the most direct path to Allah, and the best path is through Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Once you understand his sacrifice for us and his intense love for us, Imam Hussein becomes this protection and this motivation from the allure of social media. You won't need to, struggle every single day to fight social media. You just have to think of Imam Hussein, and they will go away one by one. Now, the last prong of this multifaceted approach involves none other than yourself. My dear brothers and sisters, if you do not understand that social media is addictive, that social media wastes your time, you will never change. Doesn't matter if I stand here for 10 hours, or your mom stands here for 10 hours, or your dad stands here for 10 hours, or the greatest alims in the world stand here for 10 hours, you won't change. You're going to be stuck on the same exact spot. But once you do have that inner realization, that inner acceptance that, yeah, social media is addictive, yeah, I waste my time on it, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be one of the hardest things you will ever overcome. But as Imam Ali says, through patience, great things are accomplished. So once you have that acceptance, that inner realization, every time you ignore that notification, or every time you ignore that social media application, YouTube, Snapchat, whatever it may be, you should feel proud of yourself. You know why? Because that's progress. And for every step we make towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He takes 10. When you walk towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He runs. Thank you.